Something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. When you're doing it wrong, so long. Out of my mind, so long. Ooh. Something inside so strong. Ooh. Something inside so strong. Hi,
that was
everyone.
the new jingle for the Dork Radio Show, which Jamie will be doing every week from now on.
Oh, no.
Won't you, Jamie?
Oh, it's going to be like tweets of the week all over again. I did it 1 week and I'm doing it every fucking week. It actually hurts
welcome
now.
back to Down with Boring, the Dork Podcast Radio Show, Padio Show, Rodcast. I'm Jake, this is Jamie, and we will be your guides on this psycho journey, apparently. I don't even know where that was going. I have no idea.
Is that in the reviews?
Yeah, I was going to say psychedelic, and it went psycho instead. This psychotic journey through music.
Yeah, there we go. That's probably more. That's more likely. Yeah, I was about to say. It's it's good to be back. It's another week. We're rolling through. How have you been, Jake? Been all right?
I've been pretty good. Yeah.
Nice.
Got a new jacket. That's nice.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
doing bits.
Nice. What else? Ordered a book that hasn't arrived yet.
The Perils,
saw a new
Modern
cat
Life.
near the flat the other day. That was nice too.
Nice.
So yeah, big stuff actually. Pretty exhausting week. What about you?
Big stuff. Yeah.
Great. So moving on. Sorry,
first off,
I didn't realize.
Jake, before we go anywhere, just want to flag to you some lovely notes we had on social media. Shout out to @JamesBakerPhoto, who has said he discovered Read Dorks Down with Boring podcast, and he's wondering where on earth he's been in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, I've been wondering the same thing, to be honest. Jesus Christ.
Hopefully you've been at home. If you've been elsewhere, I don't know. And also, just following on from that, shout out to the band Blocks, who responded with "So good." We're so good. So thank you.
Feels
That's
like
nice.
something someone's asked them to do. To me, it doesn't
What's
seem
your motives?
that. It doesn't. It's like, so good, and it feels like it's either like incredibly sarcastic or like someone's. Have you paid Blocks to do that?
That's
have
what
you
I'm doing now.
transferred them a tenner for that?
I'm literally just like, how much do you want? Just pass it around. It's like those celebrities you can pay 30 quid for and get them to record a message.
Exactly. One of them. You got like Wagner to say that he loves the Dorkcast. Dave Benson Phillips.
Christopher Biggins. The favourites. Thank you for the messages. If anyone else wants to say nice things about us, I guess I'll send you a tenner. Yeah.
Oh, we will. We will pay you. Sorry, we will pay you.
Whoa. Oh, God, what are we going to
Jamie, I like the podcast. Can I have a tenner?
I suppose. Do you take Bitcoin?
Yes, please. I'll have 10 Bitcoin.
Okay, I'll get you them. They're like the chocolate coins, right? I can just send them over in the post or something.
Yeah, that's the one.
That makes sense. Yeah, cool. Happy days.
While you're at the post office, Jamie, could you grab the Dork mailbag for me, please? See what's inside.
I've got it right here. More messages sent in. We have funneled out the
only ones that were sent in.
Yeah, we funneled. Yeah, no one actually knows the size of the Dork mailbag. It's currently an envelope.
Yeah, I was going to say it's more just an envelope, isn't it?
It's an envelope with some inquiries in, such
it's gone through a strict quality check of, yep, that'll do.
These are what we got. We'll use that. As you can see, we're doing well. Carl from Middlesex. Whereabouts in Middlesex? We don't know. Carl
Does Middlesex still exist? Didn't it get eaten by London?
It got eaten? I don't know. Is it a place still? Carl says he's from Middlesex.
Well, yeah, but it's now within Greater London, because my dad's from what was Middlesex, but now it's just North London.
Oh, so Carl here is trying to be some sort of like, I'm not from London. I'm actually from Middlesex, because
I guess
that's a posture thing, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe there's a bit of it. Maybe there's a bit of it that is like, maybe a little bit's not London.
Yeah, like the little edges.
I mean, Carl's like Vatican the expert, City, isn't
he? Yeah, I mean, Carl's there. I don't want to.
What's he up to anyway? What does Carl want from us?
He has asked, how short is the shortest shorts acceptable on a man? Fashion question, Jake.
Okay,
our first one.
I think,
as a man of shorts, what do you reckon?
I think, Carl, you need to basically do it on the environment you're in, Carl. I think your issue here is that you're trying to find the ultimate golden mean of shorts. So, for example, if you're at a funeral, no shorts are acceptable. You need to wear trousers, Carl.
Even if it's a hot day. Even if it's a hot day, don't do it, Carl.
Specifically, don't wear shorts. But if you're on the beach, realistically, the ones the sort of sports shorts length you can get, they sort of go halfway from your gentleman's area to your knee, sort of the halfway part. I think that's fine. I think if you want to be safe and you want to just have some common or garden shorts that no one's going to comment on, I think you want to be just above the knee, Carl. I think that's probably the best place to be. Jamie, you refuse to wear shorts, don't you?
I feel that shorts is a cop out. If I've paid for the full length. If I've paid for the full length, I want the full length of the garment, do you know?
In Top Man one year, the shorts were more expensive than the jeans, and they were both denim.
What?
Yeah.
What? That's out of order. No, if I'm going to invest as well. Also, my issue is with shorts
is you buy the jeans that are like 50-inch leg, even though you don't need it because they're the same price.
Just in case.
Just trailing around reams of material.
Well, my view is like, you're taking a risk with shorts, aren't you? When you go out, like you're relying on it being warm the whole time. And we're here in the United Kingdom, and let's just say our weather is unreliable at the best of times. Yeah, no, I want the full gear, if you will. Whack it down me.
I think what Jamie's trying to say is that he's scared of his own knees. And I think we should probably move on after that.
I was terrified for a very long time that my
Jamie, we're done talking about your knee trauma now. We're moving on. We're moving on. Stuff it back down.
I'm sitting there with my knees.
Stuff it back down your trouser legs, Jamie. Holly from Peterborough has asked, if aliens came down to Earth and you were the first person to meet them, what's the first music you would play to them?
That's tricky. I
don't think I would.
Aliens, I would play because I'd want them to maybe straight away learn something. And what's a common thing that everyone knows in the world? It's numbers, isn't it? Right. So numbers is a thing which is transferable all over the world. So I think maybe Mambo number 5.
Yeah, but then they're going to get confused because they don't have the context of the first 4 Mambos.
Yeah, I won't lie, you've got me there. Yeah.
And I think the issue is...
It's a good song, isn't it?
The issue is, if I meet an alien, it's just going to be so far down my list. I'm not going to meet the alien and be like, one second, I'll just get Spotify up for you, mate. You a sort of post-punk guy, or are you more into disco? Because I've got playlists.
Do you want the
bang on a bit of Luther Vandross,
or do you want lo-fi?
Exactly, Oh, you look like a bedroom pop guy to me. I can tell by the fact you've got 7 arms, and one of them's got a big gun in it, and you're going to kill me.
And all you're doing is just shouting something at me that I can't understand. So Idols it is.
Yeah.
It's a similar experience, actually, if you go to an Idols gig, actually. 7
I think what I'd do...
Ugh.
What I'd do is I'd play Brian Eno's music for airports. Just calm them right down. Ambient. They go to sleep, and then I can kick them in the head until they're dead.
Fucking hell.
Send them back up to space. And then
you must have hated E.T.
They're going to invade.
Like...
They're going to invade, aren't they?
How do you know?
Right? Because Jamie, what happened when people with superior technology in the past found people with inferior technology? They conquered, and it was terrible, and it led to terrible things. And if the aliens find us, they've got superior technology, and they've come to kill. They've come to milk us and keep us in barns.
What if they turn up and they're just like rattling around in like an old Ford Mondeo, and that's their like spaceship,
kick
and they're
them
just
to death, steal the car.
Why are you kicking people to death? Why is that your like?
Well, because I've got the music playing on my phone, so I'm holding that, so I can't. I think kicking's the best way to go.
I've got this horrible image of you playing Brian Eno's music for airports as you're just booting E.T. in the head.
I tell you what, Jamie, he's not going to be phoning home on my watch.
Yeah. You're just driving around in the Ford, just like, sweet results.
Even scrap value on that's a few £100, isn't it? So I'm quids in.
Yeah. It's like War of the Worlds. It's like, if only you just played the Brian Eno and just did a bit of kicking, would have solved the world.
Well, exactly. Any more letters for us, Jamie?
Oh, God, yes. Sorry, this one's great. Eric from Stoke.
On Trent or...
I presume so. Where else would he be?
Is there another Stoke? Surely there is.
I don't think so. I think it is just Stoke.
Well, why is it on Trent then? Who cares?
I think that's the full name, So,
yeah, but why isn't it just Stoke?
For example, like Billie Eilish, her full name is William Eyelash, famously.
Of course, yes.
Famously. So it's just the length. It's just the length, if anything.
I guess.
But Eric has asked, do you listen to all the music you play on this shite?
That's a fair point.
Cheers.
He's got us
there.
Cheers,
Eric. Yes.
Thanks. Always good to meet a fan.
Always good. And thank you for writing in with that. Do you listen to all the music you play on this shite? Yeah, actually. As a whole, we do, don't we, really?
Well, you do. I sort of get by. I've only heard 3 songs in my whole life, and I just have to sort of pretend based on those 3. I tell you what, I haven't actually listened to all of them this time round because we're going to play the new Sufjan Stevens one, and that's like 12 minutes long, and I could boil like 3 eggs in that time, couldn't I? So, come on. I skipped through. I skimmed it. I hope he doesn't do anything weird in the bits I missed out. But other than that, yeah, I think we listen to them all. I listened to the Dalai Lama. He's coming up. Spoiler for you there.
Spoilers! Just whack in a minute. As you can tell, we've got a packed show ahead. Let's get into it, really.
It's like that news. Stuff they do on the real radio, isn't it, right? Don't change over, guys. We've got the new track from the Dalai Lama coming up, and it's a banger, so stay tuned.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what Zane Lowe is saying, isn't it? On Beach One.
Zane Lowe? When's the last time you listened to the radio? Yeah, that's what Terry Wogan's saying.
He's still about, I mean, he's in LA,
Well, exactly. He's not exactly on Radio 1, is he?
Oh, here we go. the People's Network. Fuck's sake. News. I've actually, the first news story I have here, and it's something that Jake hasn't really been aware of, is it was his birthday this week.
Oh, hey. You. Hey.
I was going to sing to you there, but I've already sung
what
this
episode. What were you going to sing? That wasn't even the tune of Happy Birthday.
I think I was going to do Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday.
It wasn't the tune of that either.
It's gone. It's gone. We don't think about it anymore.
You went,
it's out the window.
What's that?
Unfortunately, that's just me. Yeah, to be honest with you. But Jake is here. He is years old. Congratulations, he made it.
Congratulations, me, for making it redacted.
As a little birthday treat, I thought I've pulled together a little bit of a list of famous people that you share a birthday with.
And
I thought I'd just run kind of like through the list, kind of like,
I know one.
See who
I know
you share
one
with.
already.
You know one. Who do you know? Let me get that out of the way.
I share a birthday with Princess Diana.
Famously.
Because I once went to a fancy dress party where the theme was your birthday, and everyone else came and it's like, Valentine's Day and stuff like that, and I went as Princess Diana's birthday.
Sorry, what? You went as Princess Diana?
So I had a sort of tiara, and I had a t-shirt that said Happy Birthday Diana on it, and I wore a framed photo of her around my neck.
Please, somebody find the images of that.
I don't even know if I've got any photos of that. Please send them through.
You came dressed as Diana.
No, I came dressed as Diana's birthday, so I was just sort of like a fan of Diana. It didn't really work, to be honest.
God.
Didn't have a wig or anything.
Oh God. Lord, so Princess Diana is the one that you're aware of. But let me dive through a few more. So, also sharing your birthday is Estee Lauder.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Oh, nice, glamorous.
A little bit, upper class, very glamorous. Debbie Harry from Blondie.
Thanks for clarifying that it was that Debbie Harry.
That's good. Right, there might be another one knocking about. I don't know. Works at I don't know, Boots in Southend. You don't know.
Of course, yep.
But you share a birthday there with Debbie Harry. That's not bad. Fred Schneider, who is known as the lead singer of the B-52s.
That's a good one.
Let me just tell you, Love Shack, baby, Love Shack.
That's it. That's what you're going to tell me. What about?
Yes. That's our impression of B-52s.
I tell you what, actually, the B-52s were pioneers in wearing clothes from thrift shops, and that's true. When they started, no one would do that, and they'd buy really outrageous shirts from thrift shops and wear them. So I think basically the B-52s are to blame for the entirety of Brighton.
Thank you.
So swings and roundabouts, I guess. Some good, some bad. Who's next? Yeah. Who else you got?
Let me talk to you about Li Keqiang, who is the premier of China. A bit of, politics. I think I know that name.
He's not right now, is he?
No, I think he is.
What about Xi Jinping? I thought he was the guy. Oh, I've just looked it up. Xi Jinping is the general secretary. He's the premier. So they're, he's the second guy. So, me and Lee, we go way back. I remember Lee now. We had a joint birthday party last year. Yeah, we went to the Fun Junction in Worthing together.
Good friends.
Yeah.
Next one.
Nearly lost him in the bullpen. Pamela Anderson. Wow, you got a lot.
Pamela Anderson. Yeah, there's a lot knocking about. Missy Elliott. Get your freak on.
One. That's good.
Get your freak on. Liv Tyler, otherwise known as the one off of Armageddon. Have you seen Armageddon, the film?
Isn't she in Lord of the Rings?
She is in Lord of the Rings as well, but
I think that's
Armageddon. Yeah, Bruce Willis gets blown out of the sky. It's mental. Liv Tyler.
Bruce Willis isn't even in Lord of the Rings, which implies that he died before the filming. That's pretty mental.
Didn't get around to it.
Yeah.
He was he was actually in the world.
That's how actors work.
And another one you share a birthday with, and which nicely ties into our first news of the day, is Sufjan Stevens.
What, really?
Is he? Yes, you shared.
How did I listen to this song earlier and not? Why would it? I was going to say, how did I listen to a song and not clock that? How would I? Yeah. It's not like he starts every song with.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sufjan Stevens, and my birthday is July the 1st. Here's my new song.
Yeah, I was born on July the 1st. It's like, it's my birthday. Every song as well. But Sufjan, yes, in this week, he is also he shared his birthday with Jake, and he's announced a brand new album. It's called The Ascension, and it's his 8th album. But first,
how has
in
this
like
man
5 years,
got time for 8 albums? This is his first one in a few years, and it's his
gone.
8th album, and he's not like 100 years old. I haven't even got
mad,
one album. I'm well behind.
He's just. I mean, is this a damning moment for you where you're like, this is what someone's done on my birthday?
Well, we're not the same age, so it's not too bad. It's not like,
Yeah.
I'm the same age as Stormzy, which always depresses me. Whenever I see anything that he does, and I'm like, if only I'd done a career in rap. I don't think it would have worked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you missed. I think you're fine to leave that.
Glastonbury booking me to headline based on my hit single "Big for Your Boots."
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sufjan has, obviously the Ascension is out on September the 25th, and he's unveiled a new track. It's called America. No, it's not the Razorlight song. It is in fact.
America.
It is in fact a 12.5-minute song. 12 and a half minutes.
Come off it,
now, Sufjan, come on, you.
I know you've been off for 5 years, but I don't need that kind of creative backup to blast.
I like him, but 12.5 minutes. Jesus.
I tell you what, though, I guess if you like it, there's a lot of it to like. Because there's a few songs that I like that are only like 2 minutes long, and you're like, I wish that song was longer. But with this, you're not going to wish it was longer.
This is from the famous man who once had a go at radio edits and just said everything should be just like cut into like good forms.
I didn't have a go at radio edits. I said they were the correct form because they cut all the bollocks out. If you don't think it's good enough for the radio, it's not good enough to exist.
And with that in mind.
But I mean, if you do really like it, I guess I tell you what needs to happen is every song needs to come as a radio edit. And if you like it, you then like send off, and they send you back a 30-minute version of that song.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I
don't see why that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. It's like a scheme, isn't it? Like you get you get back what you do.
And we all love schemes.
We all love schemes.
News.
Did you know
the big news? Big news. I'm done with Sufjan. I don't want any more of him because the big news is next.
What
Dalai Lama? Jamie, the Dalai Lama is entering the world of music.
Right, sorry, Jake. I'm gonna have to stop you there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play a brief snippet of America, just so you're aware of it, and then we can get back to Dalai Lama because Jake has wanted to talk about this all week. So here's a little bit of America. We are not playing 12.5 minutes. We're not fucking in 6.
See, if that had a radio edit, we could have just played the radio edit instead of having to choose,
And in fact, we've just given you a snippet of a 12.5-minute track. But that is it. If you want to listen to the whole thing, it is out there.
It is.
We're not going to play it here.
I would recommend that instead you listen to the Dalai Lama.
Here we go. The
Dalai Lama has released a banger. Was this one called? One of My Favourite Prayers? Is that right?
One. I mean, it's called One of My Favourite Prayers from the Dalai Lama.
The man isn't even committing. Like, he's releasing an album at the age of about 7,000 years old, and he hasn't even chosen his favourite prayer. It's one of them, I guess.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them.
It's a good one.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them. But yes, the Dalai Lama is, he's dropping his debut LP.
He is, hoping to go platinum.
Hopefully to get a slot on a few festival stages next year. It's to mark his 85th birthday. He's just gone, fuck it, I'm releasing it, And Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
His holiness.
It's nice.
His holiness ain't fucking about. I mean, he has actually previously before played Glastonbury, which
they do get people in for that kind of thing, don't they? Chuckle Brothers, Dalai Lama, that sort of good thing.
But it's mental. He's played Glastonbury before he released his debut album. Like that
is mad. I mean, and he got a good slot too.
He got a great slot on stage. Like
on a serious
most acts would have killed for that.
For the Dalai Lama, I do want to give him props, right? Because I think genuinely, religion just doesn't appeal to young people, right? So the Dalai Lama's gone, right, okay, I'll come. If the mountain won't come to Muhammad, Muhammad's got to go to the mountain. But in this case, it's the Dalai Lama, and the mountain is people. Like, Pope Francis is sitting in his big house, right?
Where's
talking
his
to the Christians, but where's his mixtape? Even if he can't get the samples cleared, he can drop it on datpiff.com. Like, we'll still listen to it.
When is he going to do the Boiler Room? That's my question.
Exactly.
Where's the Archbishop of Canterbury doing a rap battle? Like play the game.
There's the other Pope that's retired. He can at least do a uni tour, can't he? Just play some SUs. They get people from Made in Chelsea all the time, and they can't DJ, can they? Just get Benedict up there. You know, Ave Maria. This is Sandstorm.
Uni tour? What? He's playing on the same night as like Scott Mills' DJ set.
Yeah, like Gaz from Made in Chelsea or whatever it is. Geordie Shore, that's the one, isn't it?
Gaz from Geordie Shore featuring the Pope.
Yeah, sort of back-to-back kind of thing. Back-to-back DJ set, silent disco style.
We're doing cheap cocktails at the bar, 2 for £1. It's
called holy water, and we've been informed it's definitely blasphemous.
Take a sip of this cup, and let's get going.
Let's get going. You'd be terrible at this. This is why you're not Pope. I'd like to point out to any religious listeners that I have utmost respect for your choices, and I'd like to apologise. And we'll be going to hell, so there's no point you writing in to tell us that. We're aware. I've got a joke about the Dalai Lama, Jamie. Before we play the song.
You can't say that and then just be like, right, here we go.
No, this is fine. This is fine because someone's actually told this joke to the Dalai Lama and he didn't get it at all.
Oh, okay, go, yeah.
Right, so the joke is the Dalai Lama goes into a pizza shop and he says to the guy running the pizza shop, "Make me one with everything." And there's an Australian news anchor who tells that joke to the Dalai Lama, and he just does not understand it at all. And he tries. Fair play to him. He gets it translated, and he's laughing at the fact that he doesn't get it. It's quite adorable. Yeah, I think if you just Google Dalai Lama doesn't get joke, it comes up. So I'd go for it.
I think I may have seen it now that you're reminding me of this.
But there's a follow up actually to the joke, which I think is superior to the initial joke, which the Australian guy doesn't try. So that the Dalai Lama gets his pizza and he hands over a $20 bill, and he's standing there, and the guy says, "Oh, thank you very much." And the Dalai Lama says, "Well, what about my change?" And the pizza shop guy says, "Oh no, change comes from within."
Fuck's sake. I mean, it was only a matter of time before this was going to descend into this show.
Are we going to play Dalai Lama? Do I get to say this is the brand new single from the Dalai Lama?
I think Jake, just all right. I know how important and how much you've been waiting for this. So, Jake, what shall we listen to now after that amazing news?
I think whilst there's a lot to be said for Compassion, the first banger from the Dalai Lama, what we're going to play is the new hit single, guaranteed to go number 1, platinum first week. I think he's got a collaboration with A$AP Rocky coming up. This is one of my favourite prayers by the Dalai Lama.
For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain. Until then, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world.
how do you follow the Dalai Lama? Like, I didn't think we would have this situation on this show.
I tell you what,
we would ever have to have that conversation.
Surprisingly nice.
Yeah,
like,
it's nice.
Just,
isn't
I mean,
it?
it's like those CDs of Whale Song you used to get in like the shop where you could press the button to listen to them ahead of buying them. That's the like kind of level it's at. It's not exactly fire and brimstone, is it? It's just like, here's a prayer. I think he said like once
It's one of his
he says that prayer like 1,000 times a day or something ridiculous, 100 times, something like that.
Wow. That
maybe that's why he's recorded the album. So we can just play that instead of saying the prayer. Sorry, you're desperately trying to move on. Okay, let's.
The Dalai Lama's. Hopefully, we can get him through hype soon, and he can play the stages he deserves. The Dalai Lama's debut album, Inner World, is out on Monday, so potentially from today, July 6th. Enjoy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Tune in. Who needs anything else? Some more news for you now. And this news is, so, I mean, over the past, I guess, few days, really, you may have seen the hashtag Let the Music Play was knocking about all over socials and stuff. And basically, it's all part of like a new campaign, which is basically demanding action, basically to help the live music industry, but I guess in turn the music industry during all of this, during this old lockdown and everything. Basically, music venues have lost. I mean, they've been shut since March and have lost a huge amount of money. I mean, like all of their revenue has gone, whilst they're still basically trying to afford to like pay rent and survive and keep staff on and basically help through this whole situation. And there's no clear way for them to come back. It's fair to say that like, music venues are going to be the last, unfortunately, the last thing that may return whilst it's all going on. So as a part of that, a few different things are happening. So like an open letter basically was sent to government by there was like over like 1,500 artists signed it. So you're looking at all the big hitters, the Rolling Stones, Coldplay,
the Dalai Lama,
Radiohead. The Dalai Lama was conspicuous in his absence, is all I'm going to say.
Of course he was.
The bastard. Dua
Lipa, no, this is a genuinely important thing. I apologise
they all
for
sent
my frippery.
The Dalai Lama again. Dua Lipa, everyone basically, all the big hitters got involved and were just like, even Lionel Richie, what a feeling. Let's keep these venues open with a ceiling is the famous term.
Yes, that's famously what he said.
So this is obviously a big thing to raise awareness and a really a vitally important issue and obviously really close to our hearts.
I think the important thing as well is the financial one. Like, this is an industry that gives loads and loads and loads and loads of money back to the economy. This isn't some charity case. And I feel like it feels that way because people do see it as such a luxury and an extra. I mean, this is... You look at the numbers and it is absolutely ridiculous how much money that music generates for the UK. And that's in countable figures, let alone the kind of cultural capital of... I remember I spoke to Duckworth, the American rapper, for an interview once, and he was like, the first time I came to London, it was just because this is where the Sex Pistols were from, and I wanted to see that. And there's loads of people that come over here to do the Abbey Road thing for 100%. The Beatles, all of that. The tourism
Camden,
from that alone is... I mean, why else would you be going to Camden? It's a horrible, horrible place. But it's still full of people because, Amy Winehouse and Madness and the Libertines.
Exactly.
Not at the same time.
And Tribes. Famously
yes,
Tribes.
Of course, famously Tribes. Yeah.
But that's it. No, it's I think they valued it as 5.2 billion per year in terms
which
of
is more than I earn
money.
In a week.
We've tried to make that money. But and that stretches across into festivals as well, and the real risk that festivals face in closing and collapsing basically because they've missed out on a whole summer. And it's not an easy feat to put on festivals. People lose a lot of money on that. As part of this, basically, I mean, you're probably thinking, how can we help? Well, the Music Venue Trust have basically calling for like a £50 million like cash injection. The idea is that will help carry these like venues over to the point till when we are allowed to kind of like open those doors again and have people into gigs. But they can only do that by like getting in front of MPs, writing to your local MP, sending obviously and talking to like the Secretary of State or wherever it may be.
That's the important
what we
thing,
suggest
I think, is that write to your MP. It's not a case of like, oh, I like this venue, I should donate some money, because I mean that's great, but the point is that we shouldn't be in this position. These are profit generating, massive industry, and this is something that needs to be stepped in. And at an institutional level, like all of these places need ongoing support at this point. Like donations here and there are good to like paper over, pay some bar staff, maybe pay some rent if they're in trouble, but they're not. You can't. You can raise money for one venue, but this is hundreds and thousands we're talking about, and it's even the big ones. I mean, no, you're going to put your hand in your pocket for a small venue that you love, but somewhere like Brixton Academy, which is just as important for a lot of bands moving up through the ranks. That's a good venue to play in London, and that's a good moneymaker for bands that get to that level, like Fontaines and things like that. And they're also, I mean, they're a big brand, but they're also the music industry. They're also not earning any money. Even like the Royal Albert Hall, they said might, within a year, could be insolvent if this carries on.
Mad. It's mad, isn't it?
What's going to happen then? So it's very much it's something that only money from government can help, basically.
So directly
if you feel powerless, write to your MP and do something that way before you put your hand in your pocket, especially when so many of us don't have any money because we've been furloughed or whatever at the moment anyway. So don't feel bad that you haven't given money. That's not the point of this. And that's the point of this campaign, is saying like, look, this isn't about individual responsibility.
And the idea is as well is that, we'll get to a point where, together, looking after all these venues, it's looking after all these bands, it's looking after the industry. So we've got music to listen to, got shows to go to, got festivals to go to, and everyone's a winner, As a part of this campaign, they asked basically to post up like, what was your last gig online? So a lot of bands post up their last gigs. Jake, what was your last gig before obviously all this?
So my last gig that was planned was Bombay Bicycle Club at the Six Music Fest, I think, which we went to together, which was adorable.
Yeah, we did. We are actually friends in real life.
Well, we were before this.
Well, we were before this. Now we lost.
And then a friend of mine I hadn't seen in a while had a spare ticket for Orlando of Maccabees fame playing at Earth in Hackney, which was chilled out and seated, so I wouldn't really consider it my standard fare. But it was good fun, and it's kind of depressing to think that I haven't been to a gig in months now. Obviously, there are bigger things to worry about. But yeah, those were my last two. Your last one was a bit more high profile, wasn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, the last gig as the world began to lock down that I went to was Lewis Capaldi at Wembley Arena. I saw a lot of cocktails. I saw a lot of screaming, like "I love you, Lewis," and that was just from me. A lot going on. It was a big show, big arena show. Lewis even cracked a line being like, "Oh God, the virus is coming, isn't it?" And it was. But that does mean that was the last gig I saw, and it's a bit odd. But that also means that the last song that I saw performed live in a very emotional manner was this that we're going to play now. So the last song that I've heard live was this. This was Lewis Capaldi with Someone You Loved.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall. You're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, but now the day bleeds into nightfall. You're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, to let my guard down.
It's a lot to think about. That's the last song that I heard live.
I don't even know the name of the last one I heard because I don't know any of Orlando's solo stuff. So
glad it left a mark.
Well, no. Hey, I mean, it was all good, but he doesn't exactly say before each one like this is such and such and such and such. He says,
"It's
thank
just
you.
here. It is.
Yeah, thank you. Here's a new one. I'm going to play it." There was an arty spotlight thing going on. The guy behind me kept digging his knees into my back. I didn't enjoy that.
Nice.
So yeah,
I had Lewis Capaldi doing his classic, did a little bit of a stand-up routine, shouting out a few people, pointing a few fingers, doing a bit of and then singing some very sad songs.
Yeah, the juxtaposition
there was pyro.
Wow.
There was pyro.
Really?
There were some curtains. There were some lights. Lovely.
There were some curtains. I've got some curtains, mate. I'm looking at some curtains
fell
now.
from the stage. Like they literally fell from the stage, just like were hanging down for a bit. And I was like, anyone going to pick them up, or is that part of the show? What I would give to see those curtains now. Heady days. New music, shall we? Let's go on to some new tracks that are popping around, that have dropped over the past week that we're really loving. Jake, what have you got, Bill, nestled over there in your pockets?
This week, I'm actually going to open with a bit outside of the normal Dork fare.
Oh, hello.
The new AJ Tracey and Mabel song, West 10, which is an absolute banger. I've interviewed Mabel for Dork. I was going to interview AJ Tracey, and then it didn't happen at Reading Festival. I don't want to talk about that. I'm not bitter.
He hasn't let this down for years.
Hey, no, to be fair, I tried to let it go, but I kept being reminded of it doesn't matter. Anyway, this track is really, really good. Really interesting to see AJ Tracey moving. Obviously, Ladbroke Grove had a bit more of that garage vibe to it. Really interesting to see AJ Tracey going in that direction a bit more. Interesting to see. I think, to me, AJ Tracey is an interesting one because he is kind of the closest to pure grime, or like the grime that came back around 2014. And it's interesting to me to see how he's making that work. In a like, it doesn't feel old fashioned. He's probably going to get a number one with this, or like in the top 10 at least. That seems to be what happens. Sold out 2 or 3 nights at Ali Pali in about 4 seconds flat last year.
Yeah, that's mental.
It's just one of them where I remember when I first saw him, it was at a small, I can't remember what, I think it was at a festival, it was at a small stage, and he had Pasta, and he had a track with Dave, obviously, which was now filled in by Alex from Glastonbury. Is that Alex? Is that his name?
Where is Alex from Glasgow now?
Well, exactly. But yeah, anyway, he had the potential there, and then he released that debut album, and Ladbroke Grove just refused to die as a song.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of has a similar potential. It's a bit of a weird one to come out, obviously, when none of us can head out in the sun and enjoy it. But I feel if this had dropped a few weeks earlier in a normal year, this would be one of those ones that every festival you went to, between acts, this would be one of the tracks that played. You know
this
what I mean?
Would be the song of the summer. This would be the song of the summer. 100%. It's literally May. It was, it feels like that. It's like that is the song of that year. It feels like that. It absolutely does damage in the best possible way.
I'm leading with the AJ Tracey thing. I mean, Mabel's also great on it. More of a kind of, I'd say more of a classic Mabel performance. I mean, she's just so good at those kind of pop hooks and fitting them into these kind of tracks. She's also huge, obviously. This is the thing, it's one of those, it's been released as a joint song because the two of them are both so huge and they've obviously worked on it collaboratively. And I just saw it coming out and I was like, obviously that's just going to be all over the radio for forever, isn't it? And it's a banger. So
and it will be, and that's good because it does go.
Yeah, so here's West 10 by AJ Tracey and Mabel.
Imagine if we were out and about, the sun's hitting our faces, slowly burning our skin. This song is on.
Slowly for most of us. I mean, me and you are both so pale, it's about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Factor 50 still doesn't really work. I mean, there was a time where
Factor 50 means that you can last 50 times longer in the sun, but 50 times 3 seconds isn't that long.
Yeah, it's not good. It's like when it's like a boiling hot pan and someone drops like an egg into it and it just goes like that straight away. That's basically me in the sunshine. So I both love the summer, but I also despise it because it will slowly bring about the end of my life.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's nice.
I've got some new music. I've got some new music for you. Let me talk to you about Glass Animals, who are back with another new track. This song is called Heat Waves, and like for me, the last few months, like as Glass Animals have kind of like returned, and I'm looking forward to their like new album. Like I've just kind of been reminded about how like just brilliant a band they are, and how there's not really a band that sounds like them at the moment. Like they kind of like are very like free reign to jump across like, you know, yeah, they're a band, and they, you know, they do have these like, you know, if you will class them as indie songs, but they just love that like hip hop production and that, you know, those beats and like electronic edges that make them just sound even bigger and brighter. Like there is no one like them at the moment, like in terms of them as a band. Like I felt on their last album, you know, when they were touring it and everything like that, it had gone up a level, and they were something like, okay, these guys could be headlining like Latitude, for example, like next year, or they could be doing those sort of, you know, big festival slots. And everything I've heard so far of this album points to that as well. Heat Waves is, you know, this album is meant to be, you know, slightly more personal. They've kind of talked about how personal the album is, and how for the first time they kind of started writing, I guess, like a lot more about like themselves than in terms of before, where they would kind of like see the world around them and write around like that. Like this is a very personal album, and this song in particular kind of like captures that, like that, those like hip hop beats, electronic elements, but all underpinned by like just really great songwriting. And it's another corker from the Animals of Glass. Yeah.
The bottom line, it's a banger, isn't it?
Ultimately, it's a banger. We'll all shut up here, and yeah, you can hear it. This is Glass Animals with Heat Waves.
When you cry, one more and then I say goodbye. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Oh,
that is a good one. That's an enjoyable track. It's been a good week, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been really good. I must say, it's been an absolutely like stacked week. Like we have 100% missed out on a lot of other good music that's out there.
So if you're listening and you think your band should have been featured, I'm sorry. We had to separate the wheat from the chaff, and you probably suck. I've got another song.
You probably suck.
Well, probably. You might not. The new Alfie Templeman song. Alfie Templeman, only 7 years old.
7 years old today. Congratulations.
Yep, 7 years old. Congratulations.
Amazing. He's nearly at big school.
He is, yeah. He's going to be able to wear trousers soon instead of the shorts you get. Obvious Guy by Alfie Templeman is the new track. So, Alfie Templeman, I've actually got a bit of a love-hate relationship here, because I do love all of his music, but Happiness in Liquid Form seems to be on literally every single Spotify playlist ever at the moment.
You can't
I'm still not sick of it,
yeah.
But it makes me think. So I'll be... I'm working from home at the moment, so I'm like, I'll just put on a Spotify playlist. And I'll put it on. I'm like, I haven't listened to this one before, because there's about 30 on Spotify that have the word indie or anything like that in it. So you never really know.
Sad indie road trip, indie party.
So you put one on. You're like, right, I haven't listened to this before. This will be an easy one.
Yeah.
And then the first track that comes up is Happiness in Liquid Form by Alfie Templeman. And I'm like...
and you just hear that start, don't you? Like,
yeah, I'm like, have I done this playlist before? Is this a new... It's like, no, he's just on it. He's just on all of them.
That's a sign, isn't it? That's a sign, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. It's
like,
one of
it
those.
feels like he
he's on the way up, massive. Definitely.
Yeah.
And this new track, he deserves it. Like, this new track is another. Absolutely. I mean, it's. If you didn't tell me it was him, within like 10 seconds, you're like, it's Alfie Templeman, isn't it? It's just great indie pop. Like, it's just really good. I just really, really like it. It's just a really nice.
It sounds like he's getting more like confident as well, isn't it? Like, he sounds like he's just getting more like he's getting confident like with each and every track. Like, if you think back to like his
probably
first
just
releases,
had his stats, hasn't he? So he's got the results back for them, and he's ready to go.
He was allowed to stay up and watch TV last night, which is a big bonus for Alfie. He got to watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so he's buzzing. One day we're going to both meet Alfie Templeman, and we're going to have this conversation with him.
That's all right. It'll be fine. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
12-year-olds don't listen to podcasts anyway. They're on with the Peppa Pig, right?
Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, great song this.
It changes every day. I'm not satisfied. I speak my mind. It's hard to find. I don't wanna be that guy. I don't wanna be the one to say goodbye. I don't wanna be an obvious guy. I don't wanna say everything twice. I don't wanna be an obvious guy.
Pretty anticlimactic intro to that in the end. Just you going, it's a great song, isn't it?
It's a good song.
Obvious Guy by Alfie Templeman, who is
Big
3
things.
days old today.
Look at him. Any lovely.
So, Jamie, do you play sports?
I used to play some sports.
What did you do? Wrestling and football?
Well, football just so happens to be the name of the new track from this band called Chappaqua Wrestling, who I've selected out here. I mean, it's as if we knew. It is, yeah. It's
very, very gratifying to hear you say the name of the band, because now I know how it's pronounced.
How would you have pronounced it before?
Like, I think just Chappaqua. Chappaqua, I think.
Chappaqua.
It's just because you assume the U after the Q is silent, because U's often are.
No, it's Chappaqua Wrestling. These guys...
and how do you pronounce the song name? Football.
Football.
Oh, lovely.
It just throws off the tongue, doesn't it? You know. Apart from deciding, how I can pronounce certain words, I've been really enjoying this track. Chappaqua Wrestling are kind of like a band who have been, I don't know, they're one of those like really like new emerging bands who've been knocking around for a little bit, just kind of like finding their feet and like, putting out tracks like here and there where they can. And this was like, I mean, whenever you see them live, there's this, I don't know what it is. It's like an almost like 90s alternative, like US, like rock kind of, like, like it's like Sunny Day Real Estate and like a little bit like American football, like in their kind of like stylings. There's like that, but there's also like a distinctive like Beach Boys harmonies and like, but also like very British at the same time. There's a mix which just is like amazing, and they sound brilliant. Like especially when you see them live, like the harmonies and everything. It's just like like really really good. And they're a band I think that should just go on and on to like bigger places. So their new track is called Football. It's slightly like heavier than everything they've done before. Like everything they've done before has been quite sunny and quite like happy days. But this is quite like a bit heavier, and I like it. It's really really good, and I think these guys are brilliant, and they should just go on for bigger things. And I will just join them for the ride. I think people will really like them. So I think people will really enjoy this. So from me to you, via the band who recorded this song, because I had no part in its recording, this is Chappaqua Wrestling with Football.
I
wonderful stuff. New bands doing good stuff. That's good.
Yeah,
keeps us entertained
nice,
anyway,
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Keeps us entertained. Album time, I reckon. Do you reckon?
Yeah, nice to talk about an album. Isn't it nice to get your teeth in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, album of the week this week. The spotlight is for Dork Favourites, Dreamwife, a band we've talked about for years and years and years in the magazine. Amazing band. I think we've all seen them live countless times. Their debut album came out obviously a few years ago and was just brilliant.
2 of them. 2 years ago.
2 years? 2 years. Yeah. Time flies when you're having
makes
fun.
It sound like they've been around forever.
Your few is mine coupler. A coupler is another runner one of the tupler, if you will. Dreamwife. So When You Gonna is the name of their second album. We're going to delve into it a lot more with our special guest, Jasleen, who has talked to the bands and knows a lot more than us, let's be frank.
She's going to give an actual things like a coupler is a wupler, or whatever it was that you just said.
I'm trying to start a T-shirt range, Jake.
A T-shirt?
Help me out.
Right, Jamie has lost the power of speech, so this is Sports by Dreamwife. I believe that's the one we're playing, is that right, Jamie? One bark for yes. Jesus Christ. This is Sports by Dreamwife. And when we return, maybe Jamie will have sorted himself out.
Put your eye on the ball when it's in your court. Dropping balls, missing goals. Do you even play this sport? Now put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't choke. You see, hardest time is money, never apologize. These are the rules. Hardest time is money, never apologize. These are the rules.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Sports by Dreamwife. You should have known that because we told you we were going to play it, and we did.
We followed through at the very least. You can't fault us on that.
Can't fault the commitment. But now we're joined by Jasleen to talk more about the album. Jasleen, how
Hello.
are you doing? It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm doing very well. How are you? Both of you.
I mean, Jake, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I just cooked dinner, and I used some spices, which I think I've just rubbed into my eyes. So not great, to be honest.
Not again.
What kind of spices was it?
It was sort of a fajita mix. I think it's mainly a kind of cumin that I've got in my eye at the moment.
Paprika, cumin.
I think it's the cumin mainly
chili.
that's getting to me.
Fajita mix as well. Not even like a spice, just mixed herbs. Just,
That sounds like a wild Friday night in lockdown, to be honest.
Sometimes you just got to use the fajita spice. Oh, Jesus.
You don't even know what it is, man.
I do. It's got cumin in it and chili and other things. Presumably. Fajita goodness.
Oh, I tell you what is a real delicious treat that's arrived at our door, and that is Dreamwife's new album.
I love that segue.
We've nailed it by now. It's so when you gonna. It's here. Mm-hmm. Second album from Dreamwife. Big. Second album's always tricky because it's all that thing is that you spend your whole career building up to the first album, and you're ready to go with it, and then suddenly you're like, right, now we've got a much shorter period of time to make a second album. How do you think they have done, Jasleen?
So it's funny you say that there's, maybe pressure is the word that I would say to follow up a debut. When I interviewed them a few months back, they actually said that they didn't feel any pressure whatsoever. They were exactly. They were so excited to just kind of get on with it because I feel like their first album, maybe rushed isn't the right word, but it was very much a debut. Like, hey, we're Dreamwife. This is us as a live band. This is us as a punk band. Whereas with the second album, it's like, to be honest, I want to say it's like completely like surprised me. It's so much more like everyone says like, oh, a second album's like more refined, like they've matured and etc etc. But honestly, they have, like, it kind of sounds like you're listening to, I don't want to say a completely different band, but they go into kind of parts of themselves that, you know, we've never like heard before, and it's sonically it's very different from the debut, and it's pleasantly surprising is what I'd say.
Yeah. And also it's just that thing, isn't it? I mean, like for Dreamwife, they really kind of burst out and were just playing like everywhere, like every night. They were touring constantly, just out there playing all the time, and it kind of, like you say, it did feed into their debut album. It was like that kind of like high energy, just bam, straight through, like, and an amazing album, like a real, like, you know, statement of like, yeah, like you say, here's Dreamwife. But you definitely get that on this second album. There's a sense that they have kind of, I guess, taken the time to kind of think, right, what kind of music do we want to make? And there's songs on here that, like you say, you know, you'd be just completely surprised that it was Dreamwife in a lot of ways. Like, for example, I mean, like Temporary obviously stands out as kind of like a song where it's just like, you know, if your idea of Dreamwife is loud, you know, fast, in your face, you know, jumping from like screaming and just like, you know, really like going for it. This is just, I mean, that song is just like completely different. And I guess that idea is they've just kind of taken that moment to be like, right, we can kind of now try out things we've like never done before, I guess.
For sure. And there's only like, I'd say 2 songs on the album that kind of evoke that loud, fast-paced, in-your-face energy, and that's Sports to an extent, and then the title track, So When You Gonna. But every other song on the album is just so it touches on the softer sides, and it kind of explores vulnerability in a way that they just didn't kind of show us on the debut. And in parts the debut was like vulnerable in a sense, like with like Somebody, for example. But on this new album, it's kind of done in a completely different way.
I think there's a confidence there, isn't there? I mean, that wasn't like what you're saying about them leaning into stuff a lot more. I think it's like they've set out on each track to write a certain track, and they've really given it 100% in that direction. There's no attempt to kind of rein it in and make sure that you know, oh, will this play well with this and with that. They've got a confidence that they didn't have on the first one, I think, to just go all out and say, well, this one's going to be a punk track, so we want to go all out on that. This one's going to be a lot slower, a lot softer, so we're going to go all out on that, and they're all going to fit together anyway, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, 100%. They've been playing in these, like, for years they were playing in like the pubs and the, like, you know, these small venues, these really like tight spaces, and kind of like we're kind of like that. You know, that first album was kind of born from those, you know, of like coming on stage, having like 20 minutes and having to just go for it and just get everyone's attention. Whereas this feels like they're stepping outside of that. It's for bigger rooms. It's for, you know, it's not just for that tiny space where it's like, right, we've got this short amount of time, we've just got to go for it. There's so much more to it, which is exciting, you know, and everyone loves excitement, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely, like, I can't really think of another band like as of recent that kind of didn't really write on the road. I feel like that's such a thing these days, where bands kind of just kind of find that energy on the road and record and write. But like Dreamwife kind of took the time separately to record this album, like in a studio. They kind of separated that live energy and that, you know, going into a studio, because the first album was it was entirely written like from the live environment, whereas this time they were like, okay, we're going to take a 6-week break and we're going to then just go straight into the studio. Like, we're not going to fuck around, basically. They're like they've really like it's so conscientious, and it's so like mindful as well. And I think that just really like evocative, like in the album. And
yeah. I mean, like it's the thing as well. It's like that, you know, with Dreamwife as well, is that I guess they've always had that sense of they have like a message, don't they? They stand for something as a band, which you know, obviously, you know, other bands do, and you know, they come across in very different ways. But Dreamwife very much like they wear kind of like what they're trying to say, like on their sleeves. They kind of like really delve in to talk about things, and you know, talk about topics as well that you know you just. You know, you almost, you know, a lot of bands would want to step away from because they'd be cautious of, you know, maybe saying the wrong thing or not kind of like, you know, delving into it in kind of like some way. Like, you know, there's a very clear message for them. And it's replicated as well with kind of like what they did with the album. Like, you know, it was like, you know, recorded, you know, with like an all-female kind of like recording team and, you know, all these elements as well where it's just like they are so like to the point. They're like, we need to talk about these issues and we can do that even if it's with like a loud punk song, but taking the time this time around to kind of like, you know, if there's another way to do it, they'll find it.
Yeah, and it's definitely a practicing what you preach thing, and they've followed through with that, and it's just so kind of refreshing in a way that a band can do that and kind of stick to their word, and you know, it like the kind of non-male team that kind of made it. That shouldn't really be a talking point, but it is a talking point. You know exactly what I mean? And it just kind of makes the whole kind of authenticity of this album just even more great. So the fact that the way it was made as well is just so reflective of how kind of far that they've come and how secure in themselves they are now as a band.
You said like it shouldn't be a talking point, the steps they're taking outside of the music, but you do. I mean, it's definitely, you get the feeling that even if it wasn't mentioned at all and no one ever brought it up, they'd still be doing it, and that's what I think is great as well. It's they've really put their money where their mouth is on it, and not because they have to, not because someone said to them, "Hey, you're always talking about these social issues, but you haven't done X or Y." They're doing it because they genuinely believe it, and that's why they're making the songs. That's why they're doing these things. And I think so many bands can do one thing and not another, or not be open to things that maybe they hadn't thought of, and like socially. And I think Dreamwife are just so bang on it all the time, and still making an album that's absolutely great. Even if you didn't speak English or have a clue what they were talking about, it's still good fun. So the fact that they can do both, I think it's just fantastic.
Yeah, no, completely. And it's just that open now of like, I guess what this album does really well is it takes them, I guess, out of any sort of chance to like be confined to a box, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, that kind of idea of like, right, you're a punk band, so this is kind of like what you're going to sound like. This album has kind of just opened them up to be like, you know, it's kind of like a way through for them to be like, right, on the next album, like they could do absolutely anything. Like, you know, they have the kind of like more polished songs on this album. They have that kind of like garage punk sound. You know, they have those kind of like stripped back, kind of like really raw tracks as well, talking about such, you know, important issues. They can kind of go on here and just kind of do whatever, basically.
That's so true. Like this, I feel like with this album, it almost feels genreless in a way. Like I'm trying to think of like how to describe it, but you can't really describe like what genre it is. Like you can only kind of describe how it, I guess, makes you feel, and talking about like the softness and the inverted commas like vulnerability and the more kind of complex instrumentation. And I definitely feel like I completely agree with you, Jamie, how you're saying that, how like with what comes next, they could do anything and no one would question it. Like if they followed up their debut with another punk album, another straight up punk album, then it kind of would have been like, oh, well, this is what Dreamwife are now. We're going to put them into this box. But this album definitely has kind of opened the door that they could honestly like do whatever and people would love it.
Yeah, as long as it's under like a, you know, it's Dreamwife and that's it, and that's all you need to know. It doesn't need to be anything else. Stunt stuff. Do you know what we should do? We've talked for a while. Do you reckon we should play another little highlight, if you will, from the album? What do you reckon we should go for? What do you reckon from the selection, from the box? What should we go for?
I think we should play Homesick. That is my album highlight, if you will.
And there we go. That's all you need. Let's have a listen.
What do you do when it's too much for you? Chin up, chin up. You know these sticks and these stones cannot break my bones. Chin up, chin up. You got me feeling kind of. You got me feeling kind of. You got me feeling kind of. You got me feeling kind of homesick. Feeling kind of homesick. You got me feeling kind of homesick. So I threw up all over you. You got me feeling kind of
Homesick by Dreamwife. Wonderful stuff. It goes, doesn't it? It absolutely goes. Oh.
It's very weird and sexy is how I described it earlier, I think.
Weird and sexy. Put that on the poster. Weird and sexy.
And I feel like a lot of like the themes on this album are about like long distance relationships and like longing as well. And I feel like homesick. When I first listened to it, I was like, especially in coronavirus lockdown times, when I listened to it, I was like, well, shit, this is describing how I feel right now. And it was just, and it's very to the point. I don't know what I can say on this podcast. Can I I don't know.
There are no restrictions on this podcast. I mean, just go for it.
Can I say the word clit? Can I say the word clit on this podcast?
I'm not
I don't think we have so far, but we're all up for breaking boundaries. You just said it. So.
There we go.
There we go. Well, that's what Raquel says on the song, and maybe that's why it's one of my favourites on the album.
There we go.
Well, there you go. I don't think have got anything constructive to add on that point.
I'm going to be frank. I can't offer any more on that, but sensational.
It's just a very, very honest song, and I haven't really heard anyone else sing a song about cyber dating, long distance.
Without it sounding cheesy as well. That's
it's just
the
very.
Thing. It's like if you explain that to someone, they'll be like, "That song sounds so like hackneyed or like cheesy," and then you listen to it, and you're like, "Oh no, you have actually made this just sound normal rather than being a weird track."
Trying to force it in.
Apparently,
it's weird and sexy. That's the thing.
Exactly,
that's the word.
It is
the weird and sexy anthems that we always knew we needed. Dreamwife, wonderful stuff. I guess I'm working the door, aren't I, today, Jake?
You normally do. I don't know. You're the bad cop. I'm the one full of sunshine and light, and you're the dark heart.
Sunshine and light.
That's me.
Wow.
Don't you tell?
Wow.
Surely sunshine is light.
Well, you'd think that. Look, you're asking some very big questions, and that's why we're going to have to ask you to leave, I'm afraid.
Oh, God.
Don't make us question our own lives. Not again. We saved that for afterwards.
That is not a nice way to ask someone to leave.
Yeah, literally, just don't question us.
It's just a bit weird.
Get out. Get out. Get out.
Get out of my pub. Get out of my podcast.
Just literally. Clear out.
There's actually a legal limit to how long we can expose any other people to this level of complete nonsense. So we have
We're only trying to help you in this situation.
Okay.
Yeah, we're only trying.
I actually kind of like it here.
Well, you're always welcome back. We're always looking around. Most people come and then they look around the place and they go, "Oh, never again! Jesus, why have you taken me here?" So the fact that you like it here, it's a bonus. It's a bonus. Thank you very much, Jasleen, for sticking around for chatting through Dreamwife.
That's all right.
Just close the door on the way out because last time some rats came in.
Draft? No. Okay, rats. I thought you were going to say draft.
No, it was wild animals, unfortunately, and I had to wrestle one away from Jake. So if we can avoid that,
It was very
That'd be nice.
traumatic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I'll try.
Come on. To be fair,
Just me and you now.
Jasleen has shut the door on her way out, so hopefully the rats don't return. Because last time when I had to wrestle the rat,
They're
that was
inside
really weird.
me,
To be
Jamie.
honest with
They
you.
control me now.
Yeah.
They pull the strings.
I mean, I did, you know.
They'll pull yours too.
I'll admit, by the size of the rat, I didn't need to take my top off, but I did last time.
Excuse me? What? Those two aren't related at all.
Oh, how do we get out of this?
I tell you what.
Yeah?
Stop talking about rats, and maybe we could start talking about. What do you reckon?
I've got it. Tweets. Sorry.
Of the week.
Of the week. My voice just went. I knew it was coming.
We knew it was going to happen 1 week.
Tweets. Tweets of the week. We're
right,
back
what you got
with another
for us?
selection
What we got
of
this
some
week?
of the best knocking around. I have one from the vaccines, famous indie royalty, and they're asking this question. So, how do you get rid of rock coaches in your house?
Oh, I see what he's done there.
Rock coaches.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
There they are.
You got two issues, I think.
How do you? Yeah.
Well, it depends. It's kind of like a flow diagram here. So you start at the top, and then it's right. What do you mean? Do you mean people that coach rock musicians, or do you mean coaches for rock musicians? If
As
it's the
in, like,
first one, then they're a person. Just tell them to leave. They'll leave. That's how it works. If it's the second one, you need to move out of the car park or the service station and probably get a flat, I think.
Because how has the coach got in your house?
Exactly, it's
gone
ridiculous.
through the front door. Because if it has done that, you should call like the police or the local authorities.
Get a smaller front door, I think, is the issue as well. Your front door sounds more like a motorway.
I think you've covered the advice pretty well. Can I flag that on this story? Obviously, famous 4-year-old Alfie Templeman has commented and just said, "Tell them to leave politely," and that's why he's doing well in music because he's just got manners.
Good.
He's got manners.
That's nice, isn't it?
Good on him. Good on him, lad. But yeah, that's the advice for you, vaccines. Just number one, bit more explanation. Number two. I think in some way you're to blame in this situation.
Yeah, I can't see this having happened without input from you. So
yeah. They have messed up in some manner here, and you've just got to do better, maybe.
I've got a tweet.
Oh, go on in.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yes.
Please carry on.
Oh no! I was going to make another joke about the vaccines and. I don't think anyone needs that. I'll save it for another week. Don't worry, it's in the pocket, everyone, and I'll let you know when I'm using it. It's good fun.
Tempting. Teasing. Yeah, I've got a tweet. It's from Feet, the band, not the concept or the limb.
Oh, God, imagine.
And they've just put, as if there's a geezer called Edward Woodward, and nobody told me.
I mean,
this is one of those. I feel kind of bad for picking it because I don't think I can say anything that's any better than that tweet. I feel like I should just repeat this tweet. As if there's a geezer called Edward Woodward and nobody told me. Who's meant to tell them?
Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, like, they can't be informed
at 2
of this.
minutes past midnight as well.
Jesus,
that's a deep dive, isn't it?
That's a deep dive. That's
who are they angry at? Who do they think should have told them?
Yeah, who is the people that tell them? Is there some sort of authority that sends beacons of the names across the nation? Is that the way it works? I don't think so.
My dad told me a joke about Edward Woodward once when I was a kid, and it fell really flat because I had no fucking clue who he was. I still don't. I just remember my dad telling the joke and me being like, I don't know what you're talking about, and him just being like, you don't know who Edward Woodward is? And I was like, no.
No, he's furious.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh. And then we just sort of moved on.
No.
So.
And you've not discussed it since?
No, I still don't really know. He was in a film called Wet Job, which is, you can't have that, can you?
Oh, you don't watch those sort of films, Jake. Jesus, suffering.
No, exactly.
God, get that out. God almighty. I mean, like, you know, I think feet are discovering new things every day, and I've got to give them the fact that, you know, if they are discovering new things, then that's good for them, you know?
Some of these films, man.
Oh, you're not on Edward Woodward's...
I am. He was in a film called The File of the Golden Goose.
Oh.
He was also in my favourite one, which actually seems kind of like a counterpart to the Dalai Lama's album. He was in a film called Incense for the Damned. I think Buddhism is very much incense for the enlightened, and Edward Woodward is in Incense for the Damned.
I just think you're being a bit insensitive, Jake, to everyone's issue going on here.
I don't want to acknowledge that. Thank you very much.
Feet are learning new stuff. And if this is a shock, this is a shock to them. I'm glad they're learning during this time.
Yeah, me too, actually. That's true.
Come back refreshed. They're good lads. They could do all right. They do fine.
Can we play a track? Can we play a track by Feet?
Yeah. What do you think? What song should we pick? Really? I mean, we haven't really thought this through.
No. So we want to play a song by Feet. And we gotta.
I know.
I tell you what, Jeremy. I tell you what. While we think about it, I'll leave the house, right? No, and you don't know where I've been. You don't know where I've been.
What?
Except my trainers, where you see they're green, and all my neighbours are stalking me through their blinds.
Oh, is it? Are you going?
Dog walking. Oh God. Terrible. We make terrible radio, don't we? This is Dog Walking by Feet, the best song of the last 48 years.
Barking behind, and all this talk of throwing sticks and spinning lies. I can't go out. It's like the whole town is following me home. But why don't you just leave me and my dog alone? I'm just walking, a dog
walking. Oh, that was horrific. Okay. That was that.
Whose dog is this?
Whose dog is this? Whose is it? Hey?
Whose is it? Whose is it? We never know. You know, it's the great unsolved mystery. It's like Hotel California by the Eagles. There's so much story in there. We just don't know.
You can check out, but you can never walk your dog.
No, you can't. Famously, as the line goes from the Rock and Roll Hall of Famers.
Oh God.
As we career towards the end of another car crash of an episode, it's time for, now that's what I call a Hall of Fame feature. And obviously over the past few weeks, we've inducted a bunch of acts into our hallowed halls. The halls don't exist, but they're in our hearts forever. Then we thought this week, let's do another, because that's how the feature works. So this week, we're talking to you about an absolute trio of sorts. It's the XX. The XX, absolutely doing wonders. Let's have a think about them whilst we all listen to On Hold.
When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold.
God, that is a really good song, isn't it? The XX
song.
That's a really good stuff. I mean, like that third album from the XX was for me their best yet. I know some people.
I think the first one's always going to have that kind of nostalgic value to me. But yeah, I think there is definitely a big argument to be made that third one, because that was kind of the comeback, wasn't it? After a few years off, Jamie XX's solo one was in between the second and third, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that third one had to be great when they came back, and they just absolutely smashed it out of the park.
Yeah, and also it's what's quite interesting is it was so different from those I guess the first like couple of albums basically. I mean, like when they first came out, like it felt like the XX. It's easy to say like, oh, this band sounded unlike anything else that was about there, but they genuinely did at that time. Like it was very like stripped back and almost raw in terms of like what they were doing. It was very fair
play getting a fucking like top 5 with that first album, which, as you say, was like incredibly stripped back, really kind of subtle, like
experimental, like beyond anything, isn't it?
Yeah, it really feels like the kind of album that you discover and be like, oh, this is great. Like, why isn't this bigger? But it's not the kind of album that you think you would get like top of the pops level, like official charts. Here's the XX, and it was really like even. Sandwich between anything, it's going to sound out of place, and they still managed to carve a place for themselves in. I mean, they've never really dipped below massive mainstream appeal, which I think is incredibly
weird
impressive
as well, isn't it? Yeah, because them, if you put down on paper like them as a band and said like, oh, by the way, this act, by the way, they're going to have like #1 albums in the UK, you'd be like, that's ridiculous. But that's what they have.
Like, maybe one. I can see them. I can see them coming through at the right moment and doing it. But no, the fact that there's been 3, incredible. I was going to say incredible then, but incredible as the actual word is.
It is incredible. I mean,
can I tell you my favourite thing about the XX?
Go for it.
My favourite thing about the XX is that the only one of them called XX is Jamie XX. It's like they've been in rehearsals.
They were all called XX.
No. I didn't think. No. I think he thought they were gonna be. So in rehearsals, one of them said. I think in rehearsals, one of them said like, wouldn't it be great, if we all were called like Oliver XX, and he was like, yeah, cool. He's nipped down the office to change his name. He's come back the next rehearsal. He's gone, I'm Jamie XX. Do you change yours too? And they were like, oh, mate, we were joking.
Just devastating again.
That's a bit silly, isn't it?
Have you gone and done that?
I think that's what made him release the solo album. Because
that was it.
Being called furious. Jamie XX is embarrassing, right? It's like Young Thug, who's on the solo album. If you introduce yourself at a party as Young Thug, everyone's going to laugh at you. Unless
if you go,
famous.
What's your name? I'm Jamie XX. It's like, sorry,
they're going to laugh at you. So you have to be famous. You have to be famous, and then they know who you are. So that's why he did the solo album, I think. So we have, there's a rich backstory there that I've completely fabricated, and I think we need to bear that in mind.
But that also is now the way it is. That's actually what happened. That's the way it is. I mean, if you think about it, they obviously Mercury Prize winners on their first album, and kind of from there, you were kind of like, right, they're set to kind of like go big and like coexist as a second album. Like, what did you think of it? Because for a lot of, people enjoyed it, but I think there was a few people that were kind of like, oh, it's kind of like more of the same, isn't it? Like there was a bit of a weird one where they kind of like, it was, but they were still in a class of their own. Like there was no one else like doing it.
I think for me, I had disengaged, but because that came out 2012.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah. 2012.
So it must have been 2012 because it was when I started uni, I think it was, and I just completely disengaged from that kind of area of music just for a while. Didn't. So I listened to it a bit and I thought like, oh yeah, the XX is another album. It was only kind of when I went back to it when the third one came out that I did realise that actually this is. I do think it was kind of unfairly treated because, as you say, it was a bit similar to the first one. But if you listen back to it now, I think it's probably the weakest of the 3, but it's still a very good album.
I think Angels as well is one of their best songs in terms of like that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like it's the one that goes down like unbelievably well live in particular.
I also think they suffered from that thing, didn't they, where they won the Mercury Prize on the first album and they were so achingly trendy. Everyone was like, they're the cool band. That when the second album was out,
everyone
you wanted to not like it, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
But when the second one came out, you wanted, because you don't want to be like, oh, I love the new XX album. It's like, yeah, obviously, you want to be the person that's there, like, yeah, well, actually,
I really like the first album.
I didn't care for the second XX album.
Everyone had like the Romy haircuts. I just remember seeing a lot of people with like Romy haircuts, and I was just like, this is actually a bit mad. This is actually a thing. Like they were like the soundtrack for just like so much time there.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people might be an exaggeration. I think a lot more than you did see before, because beforehand you saw no one with it. I think that's the issue, isn't it? Anyone with a Romy haircut was anyone.
That was the one. But no, like and from there, obviously, like, and for me, like as much as like that, I mean, that first album obviously is like like one of the like the best albums of of like the past 10 years. Like I'd argue it's one of the standouts, like and influential like to so many other bands kind of like knocking around as well.
I think it's just one of them, isn't it? That it's so obviously them, and I think they don't. This is what you're saying as well about it being unique and weird when it came out for it to be so popular. Is everyone criticised that second one for sounding too much like the first one, but there are albums out there that sound like other albums. The XX's album only sounded like the other XX album. It wasn't like it was too similar to anything else. And I think that's why the third one is such an impressive thing, because you listen to it and you go, well, yeah, this is very different to the other two XX albums and still very obviously them, and there's still nothing else like it. They've had years of existing and no one's made anything similar that's any good, really, which I think is impressive.
Yeah. You could definitely see the influence of like Jamie XX's solo album on like that third album, couldn't you? I mean, like it was that kind of like there was slightly more like that kind of like club element to it, and kind of a bit more. There were like brighter kind of like instrumentation and everything like that going on. But they went on that huge festival run afterwards. Like they just played everywhere with that show, and just were. I think solid for nearly like 18 months. They were just touring and touring
ridiculous.
and touring.
Yeah.
Like
I think I saw them at festival. I think it was. And again, for me, they're one of them. I'd never really considered them to be an exciting prospect to see live. Like having listened to the albums, that I never thought.
I had this as well.
I never thought they'd be good live, and I saw them, and I mean, fair play. And they don't change the songs up. It's not like the songs are much more energetic or anything. There's just something about it that is interesting for that amount of time. It's not, I don't know, you feel like it's going to be more low-key than it is. And then when you get there, it is just fully like, wow, this is a lot. A lot is happening right now.
Yeah, it's just stunning, wasn't it? Like I remember seeing it a couple of times on the tour and just being like, this is like, wow. Like I had the same sort of expectations where I kind of like, I still, loved the band and I was like, oh, these guys are brilliant. I love those kind of like, those first two albums. But like, I was still like, oh, I don't really know how this is going to translate live. But then live, it just became something even bigger. It was like just amazing. Like they kind of like gained the confidence live as well to really own it. And yeah, they're absolutely brilliant. And like, headlining festivals around the world, like it's nobody's business. That record of like sold out shows at the Brixton Academy, like they've got the record now. They beat Hard-Fi.
That's the weird one, isn't it? It's weird when you beat a record set by someone who is now so irrelevant. I think it's so funny to think that like there was a period where Hard-Fi could sell out that amount of. I mean, how many dates was it? It was.
I think they ended up doing. I think it was around like. Oh God, was it like 7 or 8 shows?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was mental. They also had stuff like Robin supporting. Like
well, that's just all
do you remember
it.
It was like Robin and like I can't remember who. There were some mad people supporting him as well.
I don't remember it firsthand, but I remember looking back at it at some point and thinking like, am I sure I'm in the same universe? Have I accidentally slipped into a parallel universe here?
It's ridiculous, wasn't it, to even think that was actually what happened? But yeah, incredible stuff. And you know, they, especially with everything that Jamie XX does now, he's kind of like created a little bit of a world for himself where he can like go off and like, you know, produced all these tracks and, you know, does his own DJ stuff, and that all goes well. I mean, that solo album was so successful as well, but he can go and do that, and it comes, you know, when the three of them come back, like, again, like, they are arguably probably one of the biggest like alternative bands in the world right now.
Definitely.
Like, in terms of where they
would
are, like they
them
are
to be
huge.
You know, you expect them to be playing on Jules Holland and then playing a small venue, and everyone who really likes that kind of genre goes because they're trendy. You would not expect them to be headlining a festival. Like, it's so impressive. And yeah, I think they are just, I mean, you know, they're the top of that definitely. And I think it's amazing that it's all because Jamie XX accidentally changed his name as a joke, which is canonically true.
And now because of that, he has to play like, I don't know, like he's got so much on the stage. He's basically playing like a microwave at one moment. He's playing a toaster the other. He's doing his tax returns in another while he drops another beat on the lab. Like, you know, it's true. Incredible, you know, multitasking, phenomenal.
But playing another song by them, I think we should take it right back to the beginning, Jamie.
Yeah. What sort of track are you thinking? Like, what kind of classic do you think? What's one of your favourite tracks?
I think Islands is probably the sweet spot for me on that debut. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
You okay with that? You all right with that, mate?
Yeah. Let me just get my slippers on, and then we can just, you know, enjoy this together.
Right. Well, this is Islands by the XX.
Here I saw something I couldn't overlook. I am yours now, so now I don't ever have to leave. I've been found out, so now I'll never explore. See what I've done.
That bridge is on fire, yeah, that's the way I've been. I'm frozen.
Blissful. What a band. Just an amazing band.
Sorry, I was so deep in meditation there after the beauty of that.
You taking tips off your mate Dalai over there?
I am, yeah.
Just been like,
Mr. Lama.
Let's go in a bit of this, bit of that.
Don't. I don't know what you don't try and do whatever you were doing there. But
wonderful stuff.
Good.
The XX.
I think we've spoken enough about the XX, and I'm sick of you.
And with that, thank you for tuning in once again. It is actually nice that people listen to this. That is actually quite nice.
Predictions, Jamie.
Predictions. I reckon we're going to hear a story coming out of Scotland. That a young married couple who are engaged to wed. Well, that doesn't work. No, let's say that they're engaged. They're engaged, I reckon. They're engaged to marry. They're cooking pancakes in the morning. The husband's cooking away at the stove. He flips it over.
Is this going to take long?
What does he see?
Okay. Yep.
The face of Lewis Capaldi in a pancake. It's going to be heard. It's going to be like the second coming of Christ. Jake,
Great.
What do you reckon?
I think that the Pope Francis and the Archbishop of Canterbury are going to heal the centuries-old split in the church, the great schism in the church. They're going to join forces and form a Run the Jewels cover band. With Pope Francis obviously playing the part of Killer Mike, and the Archbishop of Canterbury as LP, as is good and proper.
Do you reckon that the Dalai Lama would then release a cover of Karma Chameleon, which is called Dalai Lama Chameleon?
Jamie, you are aware that karma is a Buddhist principle, so he could just release a cover of Karma Chameleon and not change anything.
But where's the fun in that?
Well, the fun is in the joke about karma, isn't it? I guess that's the... Make me one with everything, you know?
But what's...
Well, that's about all we've got time for this week on the Down With Boring podcast. Remember that every morning that you get up and look out the window, you've already won. because you're out of bed. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.